What's up, everybody? Welcome back. I am Brian Jester, co-founder here at Occupy Fantasy, single game $1 million winner. And we're back with some NFL DFS picks and lineup advice for tonight's single game showdown slate on FanDuel and DraftKings, Thursday Night Football between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In this video, about 10 minutes long, we'll talk about lineup strategies for low risk and high risk contests, injuries and what they mean for tonight's slate, and just some general tips to help get you to the top of your contest leaderboards. Before we get started, though, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Click subscribe right below this video. Get notified when we upload any new videos or go live. We're doing 8, 9, 10 videos per week now during the NFL season. You don't want to miss those. Give us a thumbs up if you like the showdown content. It lets us know to continue to create more of these types of videos. Any questions, comment below. Hop in our Discord channel. Links in the description below. Or you can just click the join button below this video to talk with other OccupyFantasy.com staff and members. So let's jump into it. Eagles, Bucs. And as you see here on screen, Rob Gronkowski is out tonight, which means we'll see more of Cameron Brate and O.J. Howard once again. The other big, it's not an injury, but an absence tonight is likely Dallas Goedert. On the COVID-19 list, we'll need to get two negatives on the COVID test 24 hours apart. Doesn't sound like he's going to accomplish that, which means he's likely out tonight. As a result, we have one of the more popular, cheaper options that we'll have in a while. We've seen this a few times this year where we've had popular, cheap options. But Zach Ertz is going to be that guy tonight. If we scroll down, let's go to the flex position here. We scroll down, we see Zach Ertz is just $3,200. He's done pretty well so far this year, 7 fantasy points per game. Now, without Dallas Goedert, most projection systems will bump him up a little bit. And as a result, he'll be a glaring value. We expect him to be 40, 50% in most contest types. So he'll be a very popular play. Right below him is the other popular play tonight, Kenneth Gainwell, the rookie running back who's been splitting work with Miles Sanders, as you see, averaging 10 points per game, and he's just $2,400. Both of these Eagles players will be popular tonight. Ertz much more so than Gainwell, but it's just something to keep in mind as you're building your lineups. Let's start with low-risk contests, 50-50s, double-ups, head-to-heads. If you've been around, you know we talk about trying to get both quarterbacks, both running backs to capture all the scoring. Sometimes that changes on a slate. So let's think about it tonight. So obviously, 2 quarterbacks, Brady, Hurts, easy picks tonight. Leonard Fournette has taken control of this backfield for Tampa Bay, dominating red zone opportunities, 80% of the snaps. He's the running back we want from the Tampa Bay side. Now that leaves $3,900 left per player. When we talk about low-risk strategy, we talk about the 2 quarterback, 2 running back phenomenon, but we also want guys who are blatantly mispriced, like Ertz, maybe Gainwell to an extent. These players are extremely popular in all contest types, and if they hit their median outcome or, God forbid, their ceiling outcome, and we don't have them in our low-risk lineups, it makes it very tough to cash. So Ertz is a guy that we'll definitely want tonight in our low-risk lineups. So let's put him in. $3,200 left per player. Now, the other running back for Philadelphia is Miles Sanders, who has disappointed so far this year. He split a little bit more work than most people have expected, but he's still playing a decent amount of snaps, and he still has a pretty high floor. He actually leads the team in red zone opportunities outside of Jalen Hurts. So even though he hasn't scored much, still has the opportunity. And he's still involved in the receiving game, which gives him a high floor, especially on DraftKings. So if we decide to go that route tonight and we played Miles Sanders, he's, $6,600 is not too bad for a starting running back. That leaves us with $2K left per player. Gainwell's $2,400, so we just missed out on that. But I think you can move this around a little bit. And maybe if you don't captain Tom Brady and you captain Fournette or Hurts instead, you can fit Kenneth Gainwell. Or if you, let's just say you captain, we've seen this before too, a lot of pros will do this. They'll captain Zach Ertz and now put in Tom Brady. And now we have 6,600. This doesn't exactly give us anything on this slate. We could switch it up a bit. But DraftKings affords us the opportunity to captain a cheaper player to allow us to fit in one more extra stud in our flex spots. But either way, we have a pretty tight core of players that we want in our low-risk lineups tonight for DraftKings. All right, let's clear this out. Let's go over to FanDuel. If you've been watching these videos every week, every Monday and Thursday, you know it's been difficult to get the quarterbacks and running backs on FanDuel especially. And this is where we have a higher ROI. We got a comment last week on our YouTube video asking, what's the historical success rate of this 2 quarterback, 2 running back approach? And we answered it in our comments. And the success rate is a little bit higher on FanDuel just because of the scoring system. So tonight, Brady, Hurts, Fournette's incredibly cheap, all things considered tonight. That leaves us $8,500 left per player. Sanders is only $10K. Normally we can't do this. We talked about Ertz being a value. He's 6,500. I can't click the rest of this lineup because everyone's going to have the same lineup and we're not allowed to give lineups out. But there are 5 very clear plays in FanDuel low-risk lineups tonight. Play them. It's surprisingly easy low-risk night. If you don't like Miles Sanders, I understand. You could play a kicker. You could pay up for Ertz. You could upgrade from Ertz. Different ways to play it, but I think the approach is really, really straightforward on FanDuel tonight. Very, very rarely do we get this type of clarity in a low-risk lineup, so take advantage of it. Let's go back over to DraftKings. Now let's talk about high-risk contests. Also, just noticed this. Why is Miami... Oh, Travis Fulgham, I guess, the free agent. This is weird. I've never seen 3 games on a showdown slate like this. Interesting. Okay. Anyways, high-risk contests. Leagues, GPPs, satellites, those types of contests, exponential payouts. What are we going to do tonight? Now, if you listen to these videos, again, we've talked about playing underdogs heavily in high-risk contests because the field doesn't do it as often. However, we've already talked about Gainwell and Ertz being popular, which means we'll see more Eagles in lineups tonight than a traditional 7-point underdog would normally have, right? Generally, if we didn't have those values, we'd see 5-1 Tampa stacks, 4-2 Tampa stacks. So it makes it interesting. So if you decide to use Ertz or Gainwell, 2 popular guys, you have to think about the rest of your lineup. How do you get different? The smaller the contest is, the less you have to get different, but you still want points of differentiation. So you want to play guys that are sub 20%, at least 1, 2 for the larger contests. The other idea here is I think, according to our projections, we still think the captain position is going to be Tampa Bay heavy with Tom Brady, Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, who had a big game last week. So playing Jalen Hurts, playing Devonta Smith, these guys are great captain options who can easily be the highest scoring player on the slate, especially because, 1, Jalen Hurts has the rushing ability, so we know he can do that, and Devonta Smith has a massive target share in this offense. And when that happens, an underdog wide receiver can easily be the highest scorer because they get so much of the volume from their quarterback. A decent amount of lineups, probably 5% or so, will actually captain Ertz in high-risk contests. Right? We'll put Ertz here. However, I've tweeted about this a couple times so far this year. The big issue with this is most people, when they do this, they think that's enough. That's enough differentiation. They don't think enough lineups are going to do this. And so they'll just jam in studs. Boom, 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 whatever. 1,400, we fit in a 1,400, whatever it may be. However, pretty much every lineup does this. And we tweeted it was the Alex Collins slate when Alex Collins was 3,200 as a starting running back for Seattle last Thursday. If you looked at the biggest GPP on DraftKings, the least number of unique lineups came from Alex Collins captain lineups. So I think only 1% of Alex Collins captain lineups were unique compared to 5% for the quarterback, 6% for receiver, whatever it may be. The reason for that is this phenomena, because people think that they can play a cheaper captain and that's enough differentiation. And we end up seeing most of the lineups that use a cheap captain look exactly the same. So if you do decide to captain Ertz, which affords you the opportunity to fit in multiple studs, you have to leave more salary on the table than you initially think, and or you have to put in another unpopular player in the flex spot. If not, you're going to end up tying with 1,000 of your best friends on the internet. So keep that in mind. So a little bit of recap here. You can play Ertz, leave some salary. Eagles captains still provide a lot of leverage at the captain spot. And no matter what you do tonight in high-risk contests, make sure you use our Occupy model, look at the projected ownership, and play players that are unpopular in at least 1 to 2 of your lineup spots, depending on how big your contest is. Now, on FanDuel, Brady we expect to be the most popular MVP, of course, as a favorite, as the highest, as the most expensive player. Jalen Hurts is going to fall in right behind him. Then it gets tough after that. I think this is a slate where it's really tough for a non-quarterback to be the optimal MVP. But on a slate like this, I think the way that it happens is a receiver catches multiple touchdowns. So whether that's Mike Evans, whether that's Chris Godwin, whether that's Antonio Brown, whether that's Devonta Smith, these 4 guys are your largest field alternatives. But for me, I think because there are so many tertiary options in this game, right? You have the 2 tight ends for Tampa Bay. You have Tyler Johnson, the wide receiver 4. Let's just look at these guys really quickly. Cameron Brate, 6,500. O.J. Howard, 6K. Tyler Johnson, 6K. Now, with Dallas Goedert out, we could see more 3, 4, 5 wide receiver sets, right? So that means Quez Watkins, 7K, Greg Ward, 6K. If you really want to get gross, Arthega Whiteside, 5K. These guys are all unpopular enough that we can get different easily at the MVP in the rest of our lineups if we MVP a popular player. So tonight, if you really want to get crazy, you have a ton of risk tolerance. I think you can play the receivers. But for most contest types, for most risk profiles, just stick with Brady, or if you want an alternative, Hurts, and just use 1 or 2 of those lower owned pieces and leave some salary on the table. That's probably the best approach for FanDuel high risk contests. All right, that'll do it for this video. For full thoughts on tonight's slate, we're going to detail every strategy, lineup picks, rankings, and different contest types. Everything you need for tonight is in our daily plug. It'll be posted by 3 p.m. Eastern. The link is always in the description below, so check that out after you watch this video. And the Occupy Panel, like we said earlier, has rankings, projected ownership for both FanDuel and DraftKings, OccupyFantasy.com. Check that out. Before we get out of here, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Appreciate that. You won't miss any videos that way. Give us a thumbs up. And if you have any questions, comment below or join our Discord server. Click the join button below the video, OccupyFantasy.com/Discord. Chat with other members and staff. Insanely valuable. I encourage you to do so. So, Brian Jester for Occupy Fantasy. Appreciate you listening to this video, and good luck tonight.